I'm struggling to understand video game journalists, but the more I do, the more I feel like I'm going insane. It's like in the world of Pathfinder trying to understand the Fae. The human brain just cannot comprehend the whimsical creatures that are the Fae. They operate outside of the realms of logic and reason, and thus the human mind starts to crack if it spends too much effort trying to understand them. It is the same with the video games journalist. I mean, look at this style. League of Legends is winning the MOBA battle thanks to its diverse roster. Now, this title would have worked in the past, in 2016, when you had many MOBAs on the market, and many of them would have to close up shop because the competition was very tight. But I don't think today there is much competition between the MOBAs. I mean, most of the communities are already entrenched into the game that they're playing. So the people who play Dota like to play Dota. The people who play League only play League, you know? There's not much in the way of like something new to Dota that would get people from League to join Dota or vice versa. I just don't see it, okay? So a better title would be why this particular journalist chose to play League of Legends over Dota. Now, one of the big lie that the journalists are pushing for, it's what I like to call it, the big lie. The big lie in gaming. We need to coin this. The big lie in gaming. Help me coin this phrase. My God, I'm so smart. The big lie in gaming is that journalists have pushed for diversity. It's thanks to their brave efforts and of progressive people that they helped the video game developers to understand why diversity is important. And because of that, League of Legends is now winning the MOBA battle because it's diverse. I have made a video from an old game called Neverwinter. Neverwinter Nights appeared back when Anita Sarkeesian was in diapers. So none of these people were pushing for diversity when Neverwinter Nights was created. And yet Neverwinter Nights has a very diverse cast. You can play as an old black lady, you can play as an Asian kid, you can play as a fat guy, you can play as whatever you want, because diversity existed in the video gaming world way before all of these game journalist hacks came in. Of course, there are exceptions, like video games where you play a fixed character, first-person shooters, third-person shooters where you play as Hitman or Sam Fisher. Like, okay, fine. But like, usually when we're talking about RPGs, fighting games, MOBAs, strategy games like Warcraft, diversity always existed. So, I just wanted to point out that this is the big lie in gaming, that video game journalists created diversity. No. Now, talking about Street Fighter, this video game developers praises the fact that it's got diversity, but also points out with one of the big issues about having diversity. You see, Street Fighter is a game that likes to stereotype the characters. So, for example, if they are to add an American character, it's going to be a fat guy that rides a motorcycle. Now, you can see the problem when they decide to add a Jamaican character. So, you know, like, that's one of the problems. Look at the British characters. I mean, you got, like, this guy that has a British accent. This got, like, this big chain, and he's got, like, the Cockney, I think it's called. The Cockney accent, huh? Likes a lot of food. And then you have, like, the British boxer. He's extremely polite, very wealthy. You also have, like, the British rich lady that's very posh, right? So this is what Street Fighter does. But again, like, when you do that and you add, like, a Jamaican character in there, well, yeah, he likes disco, he likes music, but it's problematic, right? So there you go. This is why journalists are interested in diversity. They're not interested in diversity in order to appreciate it. They're interested in order to criticize it, to make clickbait shit, to make rage-baiting articles that people share around, and they make money. That's why they're interested in it. But anyway, you know, like, this journalist actually points it out. It's like, Street Fighter has many different ethnicities, nationality, races, and cultures. Granted, those depictions often stray into stereotypical caricatures, but it always meant as an immense amount to me that they were playable and not just thrown into the background of each stage. I don't even know which fighting game he is talking about where the Diversity is just thrown in the background of a stage. Mortal Kombat, you know, the Street Fighter contender, Liu Kang, I mean, he's Asian and is in the first game. You get Jax in the second game, right? So, like, all of this bullshit that they're trying to write about, it's like, oh yes, like Street Fighter is so good because it's got diversity unlike all the other games. Which games are they talking about? I don't know any game that is a fighting game and has only white people, even before all of this. I mean, I'm not saying they aren't, but I'm thinking about the most famous ones. Like, the most famous fighting games always had diversity. Streets of Rage, another example, it was on the Sega. You get to play as a white guy, a black guy, and a chick. And the chick is Latina. Latinx. All the games have diversity, right? So, I also want to talk a little bit about diversity. I don't think diversity makes a game good or bad. I think it's just there. I mean, you can have a good game with diversity. You can have a good game without diversity. Just like you can have a bad game with or a bad game without. It's ridiculous. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because this journalist is claiming that the reason League of Legends is better than Dota is because of diversity. And I've been playing League of Legends for quite a while, for several years. I managed to go all the way to Platinum. Never spent more time in order to get to Diamond. I probably could have gotten to Diamond because I was, I think, in Platinum 1. But that's besides the point. Like, none of the people that I spoke with said, you know why I like League of Legends, V? Why? Because of diversity. Now, I did hear people say, and I have to say I was in this camp in the beginning as well, that people like League of Legends because of the tits, that they enjoy the tits in those that the characters are having. And if you look at the costumes that sell the most, it's also the costumes that have the most boobage. So if you were to make an article about that, you would have a point. I personally did not play Dota because exactly what this journalist is saying here. Dota has a lot of monsters. And it's got like a lot of monsters and other creatures that you can't really tell the gender or the ethnicity or whatever. And that's why, you know, he moved away from it. Because he didn't find diversity. Well, I didn't find boobies. Okay? Your diversity by boobies. Listen to this. When I started playing more PC, I was drawn to Dota 2. In many ways, MOBA games felt like a natural progression from fighting games. I never hear anyone say this. I never heard anyone make this comparison. It's like, oh my god, I love Street Fighter. You know what else we should play? What? Dota. I never heard anyone like this. Like, hey, you know, I really like League of Legends. You know what we should play next? Mortal Kombat. I heard they gave Shaggy Ultra Instinct. Am I the only one? This is why I'm making the video. I want to ask you guys. Do you know a video gamer that really enjoys playing games because of diversity? Serious question. Where can I find these people? Tell me the forum where I can find them. And the second question, so like a person that looks at a game, loves the gameplay, loves the story, but is like, oh, it doesn't have diversity. I'm not playing it. I'm not buying it. Are there any such people? I'm legitimately curious. Because I know people that are like, okay, this game is bad, but the fan service is good, so I'm going to buy. I know those people. They exist. Trust me. But anyway, right, so apparently he talks about that Dota has 119 characters. When I start by any character-based game, I look for the marginalized characters first. How the fuck are they marginalized if you journalists from PC games is literally the first character you go for? How is the character marginalized if you are putting it in the middle lane? I'll tell you who's marginalized here. Is the monsters. The monsters that you don't even look at. It's like, oh, this character looks like a rock thingy. Oh, ew. What is this? Oh, it's like a tiger. Ew, I'm not touching this. It's... This is what's marginalized. Look at it, like, no, seriously, who plays like this? When I start any character-based game, I look for the marginalized characters first. Which women or people of color are playable? There are usually at least a handful of women characters to choose from, but few characters are of couleur. Some of them are more anthropomorphic animals or beasts of different species than there are brown or black characters. Like, seriously, the guy pulled up the roster and said, let's count the blacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count the furries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More furries than black people. Does this even have a comment section? I mean, look how much text he put into this. Of course it doesn't have a comment section. They would like to learn a little bit more about me. Why don't they have a comment section, huh? Why aren't they interested in what people have to say about the article? How can they get feedback? That, you know, if it doesn't have a comment section, that is not a discussion, it's a sermon. And you have every right to reject the sermon. My channel, unlike this website, has a comment section. Please do use it. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys there.